Hey guys, what is going on? Chris here with Shughead Gaming, bringing you my review for Waltz of the Wizard Extended Edition, developed by Alden Dynamics, and while this is currently available on various VR platforms, this review will of course be on the PSVR version and reviewed on the PS4 Pro. Waltz of the Wizard released August 27, 2019 for an estimated price of $10. Of course, that depends on your region. Waltz of the Wizards is a virtual reality experience that lets you feel what it's like to have magical powers. Combine arcane ingredients into a boiling cauldron with the help of an ancient spirit trapped in a human skull. Unleash creative or destructive wizardry upon a fully interactive world. Waltz of the Wizards has been out now on PCVR for almost 3 years and was highly praised in the early days of VR. But does it stand up now? Let's find out. As always guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing. As always, let's kick things off with a look at graphics. Being a 3-year-old VR title, I went into the headset with fairly low expectations. Wonderfully though, Waltz of the Wizards was actually a real joy to live inside. The main laboratory, if you will, easily being the game's showcase location, is awash with warm and inviting colors and a surprising nice level of detail. This isn't the sharpest title we've ever seen on the PSVR, but with the nice level of detail present on most of the game's textures, the game still manages to impress even years later. This is a game that highly encouraged exploration and experimentation, and visually rewarded me time after time in very unexpected ways, illustrated most shockingly in the game taking me to completely different and visually diverse set pieces, offering a sense of variety and adventure I honestly did not expect based solely off the trailer. Playing with scale and color palettes offers more variety on top of this, and again takes what is predominantly a smaller game and adds a ton of visual depth and value to exploring. Nothing here will blow your mind, but some really nice use of lighting and particle effects along with a sense of polish you would expect from a 3-year-old game, and Waltz of the Wizards thoroughly and shockingly impressed me. Sound is up next.
It kneels before us, as it should. Claim your reward, pathetic earthling.
Waltz of the Wizards, for being a fairly simple experience, is actually jam-packed with layers of audio and Easter eggs to discover as you wander its world and play. Objects and creatures may talk, they may be musical, and they may likely explode, sometimes literally with various types of magical audio surprises. Sounds here across the board all came off top-notch and really helped to sell this world and make it fun and rewarding to explore. Another positive worth mentioning, and a personal pet peeve of mine in VR games when done poorly, is the excellent detail added in the sound mix when it comes to hit detection. Whether I was throwing stuff, dropping inappropriate objects into the cauldron, or just randomly hitting things, more often than not, they made a sound. Sometimes surprisingly so, but often present regardless, and really adding to the fun and immersion of the whole experience. Music here is used sparingly, but is handled nicely, again adding that whole magical Potter-esque vibe to the proceedings. And that brings us to gameplay. I literally jumped into Waltz of the Wizards only watching the trailer once and hearing it was a neat game 3 years ago, so expectations were very low, especially considering the budget price. I am rarely surprised by games, but this is one of those few times. Starting at my cauldron table, I quickly turned on smooth locomotion, threw away my computer chair, and adjusted my floor height. Able to properly walk around, reach up high, and crouch down, I was off to pick up and throw things, then write this off as a waste of time. Well, almost 2 hours later, consider me surprised, as it turns out Waltz of the Wizards is actually a pretty fun little sandbox title, and a nice little touch of puzzle solving to boot. What I once thought was the sole room that I would be stationary in while I played my xylophone and mixed potions ended up being simply a hub for which to jump off into other puzzle-based worlds, for which I would unlock new toys to bring back and experiment with. And experiment and play I did. In fact, while VR games are famous for cheaply providing shallow entertainment with the ability to pick up and throw objects, here, Waltz of the Wizard actually adds some depth to that mechanic. I won't ruin everything here, but I can't stress enough: throw things, poke things, mix things, drink things, and basically just play. This certainly isn't the deepest VR game out there, but remember, it also came from a time when just interacting in a VR world was unbelievable. Years later, Waltz of the Wizards proves it's still fun when it's done correctly. Tracking isn't spectacular here on the PSVR, but standing and proper camera placement ensured I rarely fought the game. The game is played with 2 move controllers and should be played with a moderate amount of room recommended, as you will be reaching and turning around. Motion sickness shouldn't be an issue here, as you can play this with teleport only, and unfortunately click turning is the only option given for rotation outside of simply physically turning. And finally, that brings us to fun factor and my final review. Waltz of the Wizard isn't really a game about progression. It's not an overly deep experience, and it certainly isn't in the same genre or league of games like The Wizards or The Mage's Tale. Instead, this is a game that takes the simplest aspects of VR fun and really fleshes those out. This game encourages, heck, it begs you to simply play within its environment, then throwing in some fun puzzle-filled field trips via magical portals to add some much-needed variety to the mix, and some new toys. While the fun may only last a few hours, Waltz of the Wizards remains a fun, nice-looking, and polished little VR experience that I look forward to throwing family and friends into. As you know, I hate number rating scales and instead rate games on the basis of buy, wait for sale, or burn it to the ground. I wouldn't call Waltz of the Wizard a must-buy VR title. In fact, it's actually free on Steam now if you own PCVR. But again, at only $10, I still think it's a total steal if you think you might enjoy what I've shown you. This isn't reference level VR, but it's a shockingly fun little magical experience that had the kid in me smiling the whole time. Anyways guys, that's it for me. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing. And for video updates, hit that bell icon. I'll catch you guys on my next video.